in an age when the coastal isles of Meridia flourished under the vigilant stewardship of the Council of Captains, a tale of ambition, cunning, and betrayal unfolded, irrevocably altering the destiny of the Corsairs of the Crimson Tide. This council, comprised of the isle's most esteemed merchant leaders and privateer captains, served as the cornerstone of Meridian governance. Acting as advisors to the commander of the naval armadas, master of the Maritans, and lord of the isles, their decisions resonated across the archipelago's azure waters. Sylas Mariner, revered commander of the naval armadas, stood as a paragon of valor and sagacity. Born Sylas of the Isle of Tempest's Crest, an obscure islet on the periphery of the Meridian archipelago, his formative years were steeped in maritime lore. Despite his noble spirit, Sylas did not hail from the ranks of the highborn or mighty. Rather, he descended from a lineage of adept shipwrights and navigators whose existence was deeply intertwined with the Meridian Sea's ever-changing tides. From his earliest days, Sylas demonstrated a profound connection with the ocean, a bond so deep it was said to whisper the secrets of the waves directly to his heart. Under the guidance of his father, a master navigator, Sylas learned not only to chart the stars and interpret the winds, but also to heed the sea's deeper calls. During these pivotal years, Sylas envisioned a unified Meridia, inspired by tales of ancient mariners who dreamt of a realm united beneath the vast canopy of the sea. As Sylas matured, his renown as a brilliant navigator and intrepid captain burgeoned. His maritime feats, from navigating the treacherous maelstrom of shadows to his diplomatic endeavors with distant realms, ascended to the realm of legend. Yet it was not merely his prowess upon the waters that earmarked him for greatness. His unwavering dedication to the prosperity and security of Meridia underscored his true legacy. The selection and appointment of Meridia's esteemed commander of the naval armadas, an honor bestowed upon the most illustrious and proficient leader within the venerable Council of Captains, is deeply rooted in long-standing traditions, the pursuit of merit, and the fundamental necessities of governance. Unlike the custom in several dominions where ascendancy to power is either a birthright or acquired through the might of conquest, the succession of Meridia's naval command is determined by the deliberate assembly of the Council of Captains. This solemn conclave is convened under circumstances marked by the passing of a former commander, the retirement of a sitting commander, who then holds the privilege to cast a decisive vote and exert influence over the proceeding, or when the existing commander is adjudged as unsuitable by an overwhelming consensus, specifically a three-quarters majority of the council members. These gatherings, attended by the most revered merchant leaders and esteemed privateer captains, are held within the sacred confines of the ancient Palazzo of Tides. This revered site, believed to be under the guidance of the sea's mystic will, serves as the venue where deliberations are influenced by divine maritime omens, ensuring the selection of a leader whose vision aligns with the providential will of the sea itself, thus perpetuating the storied maritime legacy of Meridia. Amidst a period of upheaval, with the threat from the abyssal reavers, a rebel faction from the south adamantly opposed to the unity of Meridia, looming large, Sylas Mariner was chosen during one such critical conclave. His election stemmed not merely from his legendary deeds, but from his vision of a united Meridia, a realm where the sea's bounty would ensure prosperity for all its inhabitants. His speech, imbued with the conviction of his heart and the wisdom of his experiences, persuaded the council, who saw in Sylas a leader capable of navigating the tumultuous waters of their era. As Commander Sylas Mariner, he ushered Meridia into a golden era of naval supremacy and economic flourishing. His policies bolstered the Meridian fleet, invigorated trade with distant lands, and shielded the isles from piracy and external threats. Yet, Sylas always contended that his most significant achievement lay not in the battles won or wealth accumulated, but in the unity and peace he fostered among Meridia's diverse isles. Amongst this assembly of power, the Corsairs, led by the audacious Captain Alaric Stormcaller, charted a course that would see their influence swell like the tides themselves. With sails dyed crimson as the twilight blood of their adversaries, they became the harbingers of a burgeoning dominion, their infamy spreading like wildfire to even the most secluded harbors of Meridia. Sylas, observing Alaric's unwavering resolve, and the profound respect he commanded amongst his crew, began to perceive the true essence of leadership, a combination of fearlessness and strategic acumen. The Corsairs' ventures, swift as the gale and as enriching as the bounteous earth, began to sway Thalos's perceptions. The rapid accumulation of wealth and the surge of opportunities not only enriched Meridia but also sowed the seeds of disparity, creating a chasm between those blessed by fortune and those shadowed by impoverishment. Intrigued by the effectiveness of Alaric's methods, Thalos found himself gradually conceding to admiration. Alaric's approach, though marred by the scars of plunder, was undeniably efficient, weaving a tapestry of wealth and influence that spanned the seas. Thalos's favor, once elusive, began to tilt towards Alaric, drawn by the magnetic pull of his achievements. This newfound alliance between Thalos and the Corsairs, founded on the principles of strength, determination, and the spoils of victory, heralded a new era for Meridia, an era marked by riches for the audacious and the dawn of a legacy etched in the annals of time. Sylas, once favored by Thalos, advocated for the establishment of intricate trade networks that spanned beyond the familiar turquoise waters of Meridia, reaching distant and exotic shores. He envisioned Meridia as the heart of commerce, a nexus where cultures and goods from across the known world would converge. Under his guidance, new trade laws were crafted, fostering an environment where merchants from every corner of the globe were welcomed. The ports of Meridia, once bustling with the chaotic energy of privateers and corsairs, began to transform into grand emporiums of trade and diplomacy. Maritime laws, too, saw reform under Sylas's influence. Where once the might of the ship determined right, Sylas proposed the rule of fair tide, a decree that ensured safe passage for all vessels within Meridian waters, provided they paid homage to the Isles through tariffs and trade agreements. This policy not only filled the coffers of Meridia, but also discouraged piracy and encouraged a burgeoning economy based on mutual benefit and protection. Yet this golden vision was not without its shadows. The rise of the Corsairs of the Crimson Tide marked a stark contrast to the world Sylas envisioned. The Corsairs, emboldened by their conquests and plunder, represented the old ways of might and fear, a path Sylas sought to steer Meridia away from. More and more, the Corsairs would violate the fair tide decree, plundering vessels that were unprepared and under the protection of the Lord of the Isles. The allure of immediate wealth through plunder began to overshadow the slow, steady prosperity Sylas promised. Feeling his influence wane and his vision for a prosperous Meridia through peace and trade slipping away, Sylas's heart began to darken. The envy towards Alaric's rising favor festered into a venomous spite. The more the commander leaned towards the Corsairs' approach, the more policies began to shift, subtly at first. Trade agreements became less of a priority. Naval escorts for merchant vessels were reassigned to join the Corsairs in their raids, and the ports of Meridia, once bustling with traders from distant lands, started to see a decline in foreign vessels. Sylas watched as his dream for Meridia was slowly dismantled by the very policies he once helped to craft, now twisted to favor the Corsairs' pursuits. His disillusionment turned to resentment, not just towards Alaric, but towards a system that favored the quick gold of plunder over the lasting prosperity of trade. It was in this crucible of betrayal and shattered dreams that Sylas's plan took root, a scheme that would ensnare the Corsairs and reclaim his vision for Meridia. But ambition often blinds even the most vigilant, and Sylas failed to see the true cost of his actions, not just to his enemies, but to the very fabric of Meridia itself.